So we're on the road to the National Championship. I got my son back there. We got everything loaded up. We got a cooler. My wife's right there. We're all taking off. We've been driving for about 4 hours right now. So we're a little less than halfway. We just got into Arkansas and we're headed up to Kentucky. So looking forward to it and enjoying this road trip. And this little guy is being awesome. So we'll see you back out there. So I'm excited right now. We're finally moving. We've been sitting here for roughly 2 hours, right?
Something like that, yeah.
It's something like that. We were stuck in traffic in Arkansas. They decide to do road construction, full lane road construction in the middle of the day. So we're watching some Land Before Time. My son's enjoying it. So right when we got to Kentucky, we got settled in and everything. I started going through all my luggage and I realized something. I left my laptop charger. And that's what I was going to use to charge up the cameras and everything like that. So unfortunately, I really wasn't able to film. I was only able to film one day, so I apologize for lack of footage. But I did take a couple of pictures. I did get one day of pre-fishing filmed, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Decent one, probably 18 inches. So hopefully you guys like those pictures in that video. That video was from pre-fishing, I believe it was day 3. But I'll just give you a little bit of backstory of what happened that week. The first day that I was able to pre-fish was on Monday, and I went out for 4 hours. There was a thunderstorm that was supposed to be coming in, and it kept getting pushed back further and further. And finally I just said, you know, screw it, I'm going to get out there. So I did, and then the thunderstorm came in. So apparently there was a tornado watch or something. I didn't get that one, but I was out there for 4 hours, and I think I caught 4 or 5 bass, some decent sizes, but that spot wasn't necessarily where I wanted to fish. I knew I could catch fish there, but I knew I wasn't going to win a tournament there, so I was kind of leaving that as my last resort spot. The second day I went out, and it was literally freezing. It was so cold. I got out there at 6 o'clock in the morning. Sun didn't get up until 7:05 or something, and it was pouring rain. It was freezing. I think it was like 30, 20 something degrees, whatever. And I just couldn't feel my hands. I kept making casts, and I couldn't even tell when I was thumbing the line. So I ended up getting off the water after about 2 hours, and that wasn't productive really at all. I didn't catch any bass there. So instead of just going home, I went and did some boat ramp searching. It wasn't as easy to find them as I was expecting, so like online and everything. So I wanted to go to different boat ramps and try to see what other places I could launch at. Well, the third day is where I had my most successful day. A little bit later on, where I was the most comfortable with, and it's actually where I fished on day one. But I get out there again. It's super cold. It was like 26 degrees that morning. Very, very cold, and nobody was catching any bass. I didn't catch anything from 6:30 in the morning till about 10:45. And then all of a sudden at 10:45, as you guys saw in that video, I caught that 18-incher, and then right after that, I think it was like a 15 or a 16-incher or something. But I found a bunch of schools that were right there, and nobody else was catching anything, and I was catching, or I was throwing everything that you can think of, just what everybody else was throwing. But I ended up finding out the technique and the color that they were biting on. It was a black and blue worm on a drop shot with about maybe a 10-inch leader. And as soon as I was doing that, within about 15 minutes, I caught my first one at 10:45, and 15 minutes later, I caught my second one. And I ended up leaving because I didn't want everybody to draw attention, because there was about maybe 30 kayakers around me, and a lot of them were just staring at me and stuff, because again, nobody was catching bass. So as soon as they're hearing splashing and stuff, everybody's like, oh, what's going on? So I ended up leaving because I just didn't want to draw attention to it. My fourth day of pre-fishing, honestly, I spent 7 hours, 8 hours on the water, and it did not produce whatsoever. So me and my buddy Gary we went out together, and we both said, we'll try the other spot. We'll try the spot that we did on day 3. So on day 1 of the tournament, I go out and I get to my spot. We're there about, I think about 45 minutes until first cast, because it was fairly close to the boat ramp. So we anchored down, and I sat there for 6.5 hours. I didn't move. I was just fishing it over and over again, and all I was able to pull out of that spot was 2 bass, and one was early, the other one was a little bit later in the afternoon, but it was a struggle. And from what I heard, a lot of the people that were at that spot, a lot of people in the tournament struggled. There were tons of skunks. Very, very few bass were caught, and it was very, very difficult. But I was able to catch 2, and with 2 hours left in the day, I was like, you know what, I can't just keep fishing here. I've got to try another spot. I've got to try something else, because I need to catch 5 bass. I have to catch a limit for me to even have a chance. So I ended up leaving and started going down some docks, some boat docks, and I was fishing the structure poles, and I got bit, and I pulled up like a 16.5, and I was like, this is the ticket. So I fished every single boat dock structure pole that there was, and it took me about an hour and a half of doing that, and I didn't get another bite. So we had about half an hour left, and I'm going past the boat ramp, and I saw some trash. It was like boat trash. I don't know. It was kind of like a little dump, but in the water. And so I threw down there, and all of a sudden I got a hook, or I got a bite, and I started reeling the bass in. I'm like, yes, thank you, Lord. And all of a sudden it fell off the hook. And I'm like, how in the world did that fall off the hook? I have an open hook drop shot. How did I not get hook penetration? Like, what's going on? I might have had him skin hooked, but So I throw down there again, and boom, I get another one. So I'm reeling him in. I see him. I'm kind of skimming him across the water, and he falls off too. And this one was about a 16.5. So at this point, I have 3 bass, and this is about to be my 4th bass with maybe 20 minutes left at this point. And all of a sudden, I lost a good keeper, and I'm like, oh no. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this spot has bass. Let's keep going. So I keep going, and there's like, I don't know, kind of like a little deck or whatever, about with that much space in between the water and the deck, and it had like a metal bar kind of going at an angle, and I was trying to cast underneath that bar. I was trying to pitch it underneath it, and I accidentally pitched it over it. And as soon as it hit the water, I got bit, and I was like, oh no. So I tried setting the hook, but because I was over it, I didn't get the leverage, I didn't get the power to get the hook set, and I didn't get that bass. So I'm like, I need to catch a bass, I need to catch a bass. You know, it's 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. All of a sudden, boom, I catch another bass, and I'm like, yes! I'm reeling this thing in. I get him on the board. I've never taken a picture of a bass this fast before in my life. I'm flying. I get him on the board, take the picture, throw him back. I'm submitting this thing, and I get my email confirmation that says approved at 2:59. So I just got him in. And then I found out that I probably should have read the directions a little bit more, because 10-inch bass do not count. It was a 12-inch minimum. Submitted 2 bass that were 11.5 inches and 10 inches, and I was bummed, and I ended up with just 3 bass that day. So the next day I decided I don't want to go to that same spot. I'm going to go to that spot that I fished the first day, because I know I can at least catch bass there. So the first day, right when we were allowed to have lines in the water, boom, catch 4 bass within 10 minutes. And they were all small. They were all 11 inches, 10 inches. They were small, but I was catching them. And there was a guy who was in my spot, or in the spot that I wanted to fish, and then he ended up leaving. So I'm like, I'll go right over there. So I went over there, and boom, I caught about 2 more within the next 10 minutes also. And one of them was a keeper. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing good. I can do this. Kept fishing, and so within about the first 45 minutes of fishing, I ended up catching about 10 bass and 2 keepers. One was a 16 3/4, and the other one was a 15 3/4. So I'm like, okay, if I can just keep this up, I got the technique down, I got the color down, we got this, let's just keep going, keep going. That's where the excitement ended, because I caught 25 bass that day, and all of them, except for those 2, were under 12 inches. It was rough, it was frustrating. I thought for sure, you know, just if you keep getting the numbers, eventually you would pick up a good bass, but it just didn't happen for me. So I ended the day with 2 bass. So I ended this tournament in 179th place, which isn't bad, out of 752 anglers, but I honestly expected to do a lot better. But hey, I fished my heart out. I fished with everything that I had all the way up until the last possible second, so I can't hang my head. I know I gave it everything that I got, and that's all that I can do. So I really appreciated that. I really enjoyed it, but it was really cool because we ended up having one of our North Texas guys, Clint Dunbar. He came in 10th place, and Dwayne Taff, who's part of the East Texas guys, he won the whole thing, won $100,000. So I want to take this time to kind of encourage any of you guys who really want to fish against good competition and have good payouts and stuff. If you're close to Texas, if you're close to the East Texas tournaments or the North Texas, the ETXKF or the NTXKC, come out and fish with us. We have incredible anglers. We have guys like Guillermo Gonzalez and Matthew Scotch, both of which last year fished for Hobie Worlds. You got Clint Dunbar, who came in 10th at the National Championship. You have Dwayne Taft, who just won the whole thing. There's many, many more great anglers that we have, and I can't name them all right now. I don't have time, but I just want to encourage you guys, if you guys want to come and fish against great competition, come on out, fish with us. We have a lot of great lakes, we have a lot of great trails, and it's a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, see you back on the water.